why did Peter deny Jesus? Have you ever asked yourself that question? What caused him to go there? If you read the text again, some things I really think they'll just kind of pop out. One is this elevated view of self that Peter seemed to always have. There's self-confidence, and then there's, the other, not so great. What do they call it? Cocky. Peter was a cocky guy. And you see that because he doesn't just say, I won't fall away. He says, even if all these other jokers fall away, I won't do it. He was comparing himself to other people, and he basically told Jesus, you don't know what you're talking about. That's kind of crazy to do. But that wasn't the first time that Jesus did it. The first time Peter did it. The first time that Peter told Jesus that he didn't know what he was talking about was in Matthew chapter 16. And in Matthew 16, Jesus asked the disciples, who do men say that I am? And they all give different answers. But Peter says, you're the Christ, you're the Messiah. You're the one that is to come. And Jesus says, Peter, you got it, man, that's amazing. Flesh and blood didn't reveal this to you, but my Father in heaven, you nailed it. And then Jesus said, as Messiah, I'm going to have to go to the cross, and I'm going to lay down my life, and 3 days later, I'm going to rise from the dead. And in that moment, Peter tells Jesus, you're crazy. You don't need to do that. You don't know what you're talking about. Just let me take care of this, and I'll get our movement started. To which Jesus said, get behind me, Satan. You don't have in mind the things of God, but the things of man. And Peter put his foot in his mouth. Peter was always putting his proverbial foot in his proverbial mouth all the time. Why? Because he had this elevated view of self. He had this idea that even if everybody else fails, I won't fail because I'm better than them. I've arrived. This is a church person sin. This is how church people can sometimes think. I've been in church my whole life. I've done all the Sunday school things. I know all the answers. I read the Bible. I give my tithe. I would never cheat like that. Or I would never steal like that. Or I would never do this, or I would never do that. And that kind of mentality, that kind of elevated view of self is dangerous. Especially when you have passages like, don't think more highly of yourself than you ought to think. Or you have words from Jesus, just like he said to Peter, Satan has demanded to sift you like wheat. In other words, there's an attack coming. You need to humble yourself. You need to be, on guard because nobody's immune to failure. Nobody's immune to falling spiritually. Even the people who think they're the most committed, sometimes those are the people who are most susceptible to falling spiritually. And so humble yourself. But Peter didn't humble himself. He had a proud heart, and that proud heart positioned him to deny Jesus.